Oh, hi. Hello. How you doing? My name is Waldo, and I'm here to feel the politics with you. How's everybody doing tonight? I am doing okay. I'm still sick. I know this is like the whole illness arc of my streaming career, but I still have it. It's in my head. It's in my nose. It's in my throat. It's still there. It's the longest illness I've ever had in my entire life. I blame Barack Hussein Obama, as any intelligent person should do. But other than that, I have no idea what else to do. I've been taking the Dayquil. I've been taking the NyQuil. I've been taking all the quills, the Peter quills. And it's just not getting any better. And it's just sticking around for a very long time. And it's just a bad strain this year or something like that. I don't think it's the flu, and I don't think it's the Rona. It's just a bad sinus virus and stuff like that. But I am better today than I was last stream, and I might be better in the next couple of days, but still, it's been taking a very long time. How are you? I'm looking for a dog. Sorry, I'm looking, showing you the side of my face, but I'm looking for the Bobo. He was here a moment ago, and he may be here again in a minute, but we'll find him. Hi, how are you? How do you like the side of my head? It's great. I'm really attached to it. Yeah, news happened all day today, lots of it. And I kept making more tabs and more tabs and more tabs and more tabs. And I was like, oh, that's a thing I should talk about. So there's a lot to talk about today. And if I talk about and bounce around from subject to subject, that's because there's so much going on today. So let's get started. If you're in chat, hop in, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling. I got Bulbasaur riding shotgun with me today. You can, the lovely robot lady is on and should be working. Robot. If you're in Twitch chat, the lovely robot lady will read your stuff out loud. If you're in YouTube chat, thanks for being here, but she won't read your stuff out loud because YouTube doesn't love you as much. I'm sorry. I wish it weren't true, but it is. YouTube just doesn't love you as much. I like you, but YouTube doesn't. Sorry about that. All right, so let's get started with all the fun news. What have we got going on today? Fun stuff. Let's get started with something silly and interesting and fun. There it is. There's one. Here, let's listen to what this lovely lady has to say.
Trump. Let's take a listen to one more woman who we spoke with.
That's what I said.
If you could say something to President Trump and he was going to hear you right now, what would it be?
You are a worthless pile of
And you voted for him how many times?
3 times. That was my bad. Apparently, I'm an idiot.
Okay. At least she knows now. At least she can get better, you know? Like, acceptance is the first step towards healing, and so she has accepted it. She knows she made a mistake, and she knows it was a bad idea, and now she knows what went wrong. Maybe she won't do it again. Odds are she will. She lives in Pennsylvania. They tend to be a swing state pretty often, but maybe she's learned her lesson, and maybe it'll stick with her for a little while. So that's good. That's fun. It's not anything to do with like it's kind of something to do with politics today and things that are happening. What else happened today? Lots and lots and lots of people have been voting in primaries over the past couple of days. Huge turnouts in Texas. Tallarico won. Huge turnouts in Illinois, and Kat lost. Very sad. I'm not happy about that, but we are going to look at her little concession speech right here. Kat Abu-Ghazala, I think she was a good candidate, and she did good things, and she's an awesome person, but she lost by a few points. So we're going to listen to her, and then I'm going to tell you about it.
Hey everyone, I don't know if you heard, but we didn't win, and it really fucking sucks. We came really close, and it sucks, but something that no one in power even expected would be possible at all. I need to stress to every single person in this room that this does not mean that the last year has been for nothing. Tens of thousands of people powered this campaign, knocking doors, making calls, donating what they could. We fed and clothed thousands of people across the 9th District. We forced our opponents to the left and to be more aggressive against this administration. We did all of this together from the ground up with everything against us.
And everything was against her. We'll talk about that here in just a couple of minutes.
We had millions in APAC spending, dark money smear campaigns, institutional power, tipping the scales, and we made them use their entire arsenal. Shit we've never even seen before, just to beat us. And that's just for now. We showed that politics can be more than backroom deals and reliance on the ultra-rich. It can be helping others. It can be a community. It can be a team sport. We were able to change the conversation in this district and nationwide. We have done so much that has never been seen before in American politics. And we have set a new standard for what people should expect from those trying to represent them. I am so incredibly proud of what we built together and deeply grateful to every single person who believed in this campaign, especially my staff. I'm not going to go further than that because I will cry, because I love every single one of them so much. Shout out to our staff, please. You better turn it on. I'm so astounded by how many of you that are with us have never been involved with a campaign or maybe never even voted. That's incredible. Whether you came here because you donated a jacket to our mutual aid hub, or because you saw us on a live stream, or because one of our volunteers wouldn't stop calling you. Thank you for being involved.
And that's some of the other interesting things that she has done that nobody else had done. She's doing live streams. She's doing, she's putting out social media stuff that the older candidates can't do. And then she turned her entire campaign headquarters into a mutual aid place where you can like donate clothes and then give it to people and stuff like that. Donate food. It turned it into a whole food bank kind of a thing. Very interesting. Doing good things for the people that are there.
And the work isn't over. There are progressives all over the country who are taking a chance just like we did. And we have to help them win. No matter how hard it is, we have to send a message to this administration, anyone who enables it, and I'm talking directly to them right now. You and your jobs are not safe. This is the start and not the end. We are not tolerating the status quo. You cannot kidnap and kill us and our neighbors. You cannot start illegal wars. You cannot trample on our rights and see our lives as a means for profit. We will continue to come back, and every single loss like this one just makes the path easier for the next person who takes the same chance. We are not done, and I am not going anywhere. When I said I would spend every single waking moment of the rest of my life to hold this administration accountable, win or lose, I fucking meant it. And I know all of you do too. So thank you for supporting us. I'm sorry that this sucks, but fuck Trump, fuck ICE, free Palestine, and I love you all.
Very fun stuff. Very good stuff. I like it. I like what she has to say here. Now, did she win? No. She lost the primary, and we're going to listen to some shit libs talk about it. And this is important because how did she lose? Why did she lose? By how much percent? All that fun stuff is interesting. But let's listen to a centrist, Joe Scarborough, talk about it. And he's the status quo that she was talking about.
Always looking ahead to the midterms. And Mika, I sent you a couple of commercials from a candidate in Illinois' 9th. Regardless of what you think of her politics, and people are attacking her on all sides. Kat, and I will not mess up her last name. It starts with an A. I'll just call her Kat A. Had some of the most interesting commercials. And There you go. And when I looked at him, I said, okay, this is a good view into the future of campaigning in American politics. John Heilman, I heard you laugh. I know you're not, she started with a smear, an attack ad against herself. And here's somebody.
And it is very funny. If you haven't seen the attack ad against herself, it is damned hilarious. She put it out against and talks about how she wants good things.
Say
it's
the
quite
name.
Funny.
At worst, it'll be funny.
Right, Abu Ghazala. It's not. Once you get it down, it's not that hard. But he doesn't want to try because he doesn't care about her. This is a status quo. He is happy that she lost. You're going to see him smile and laugh here in just a moment.
It just moved into the district recently. Had
Talking
been
shit about
thrown
her.
around by ICE agents in
Talking
protests,
shit.
so nobody really gave her a chance to win.
Talking
and she
shit.
came very close to winning the Democratic primary and being a member of Congress in Illinois 9. But the story of the night really was not just that a lot of progressives lost. It was
He's
also
excited.
the fact that AIPAC played such a huge role in tipping the scales. In fact, AIPAC last night was bragging about beating Kat. And what they did was, when their candidate didn't win, clearly didn't seem like he was going to win, they then found a progressive that they piled a lot of money into to take votes away from Kat A. And they were bragging last night, AIPAC was, that in fact it worked. And it did work. It took the 5 percentage points away that she needed to win.
He's trying not to laugh.
Yeah, Kat Abou-Ghazala, who was a former employee of mine at the recount, by the way. Very
way. Are you kidding me?
Super bright, super social media and digital media savvy. She is going to have a big future in Democratic politics, but she wants to have it. Whether you like her politics or not, I'm not endorsing candidates.
Right.
I'm just saying she is young and smart and gets the way the world of media now works. And it took AIPAC doing what you just said, Joe. I think she would have probably won that primary over the Evanston mayor, Daniel Biss, who is also a very progressive candidate. He's not a moderate by any means. I think she probably would have won that primary if it hadn't been. She got it on the negative side coming from AIPAC, and then she got it, as you said, boosting the other kind of far left candidate in that race. But you're right.
They have a term for that in politics. It's called rat fucking. And that's what AIPAC has done. They rat fucked her. They want the guy who's closer to center, Daniel Biss, to win. But instead of supporting him, because AIPAC, nobody wants to take their money, Daniel Biss doesn't want to take their money. So they run ads for the other progressive lady, a Muslim lady, who's polling at about 1 to 5%. That's what they did. AIPAC did that without her asking them to do that. Without the lady asking them to do that, they ran ads for her to make her numbers up to about 5%, stealing the 5% that Kat needed to win. The proper term for that is rat fuck. If you hear people mention it, that's what they mean. AIPAC does not want a leftist to win, so they back the Daniel Biss, who's closer to the center, and throw a lot of spoiler support at a different leftist to split the leftist votes. It's a shitty strategy. It's absolutely terrible, but it works for them and they know how to do it. Is Daniel Biss better than a Republican? Yes. Kat was anti-Israel, as you heard her say there at the end of the speech there, and I want more people to take that position. Did Biss take AIPAC money for yesterday's primary? No. He took J Street money, which is the other pro-Israel PAC with billions of dollars to spend. But AIPAC is hoping that maybe Daniel Biss will take their money tomorrow. Maybe he will. Kat's not going to, but maybe he will. I mean, maybe. She's definitely said she never will, but he might. He already takes some money from J Street, and J stands for Jewish. It really does. It's Jewish Street. I'm not making that up. That's actually what it is. It's a pro-Israel lobby. Is he going to vote blue most of the time? Yes. But he is closer to a Hakeem Jeffries. He is closer to the center than Kat was. And you know how I feel about centrists. They're ineffective against the current right wing. You're looking at two of them on the screen right now. Not me, but those two guys. Hang on. These are a couple of centrists. They do not want the left to win. They're happy when she doesn't win. They're okay with it because She would change things, and they don't want anything to change. Joe Scarborough here is happy that Kat lost because he is the status quo she was talking about. He is the centrist. He does not want the world to progress, move forward. He does not want it. He wants it to stay the same. He wants to go, well, not the same as we are right now. Right now, we're a bit too far to the right. He wants to go back to 2010 and stay there forever. The uniparty days where the difference between the left and the right was minuscule and everything was steady. Chuck Schumer was only slightly left of center, and he was balanced out by his esteemed colleague, Mitch McConnell, who's only slightly right of center. And they're both good guys, and they have lunch together, and they play on the Congress softball team together. And they gently rib each other about which state's college team is going to win the big game tomorrow. They agree on 95% of the issues and just want what's best for all the American people, and simply have a small disagreement about the means to get to the utopian ends. That's what he thinks the world used to be like. And so that's where Joe Scarborough wants to go, because that's the way it used to be. And he's absolutely wrong. It was never like that. It's in his imagination. That's his dream. And centrists like Joe Scarborough have that dream, and you would need to be asleep to believe it. I complain a lot about the conservatives and their imaginary dream world of the 1950s TV shows where everybody had a job and there were no divorces, no black people and no gays and no political problems and no crime, because everyone lived in a picket fence neighborhood full of good Christians. This is imaginary and never happened for most people. Okay? It is their dream. They imagine that that's the way it used to be, and so that's what they want to go back for. When they say make America great again, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about going back to the 1950s that they imagine in their head where everything was perfect. And there weren't any blue-haired wokies, you know? There weren't any trans people. They didn't exist. There was no such thing. And then you never saw anybody on TV that was black or gay because everything was great. So that's the imaginary world they want to go back to. And I yell at them. I say that that's a dream world that never existed. Joe Scarborough has one too. The Dems have an imaginary dream world of 2010 where everything was just this far apart. We were so close to perfection. And the difference between the left and the right was just so small and so insignificant. And everything was going perfectly. It never existed. The Dems want you on a treadmill, always voting, always donating, always reaching for the thing that you want, but you're never going anywhere. You're on a treadmill. You never go anywhere. You never make any progress. You're just walking in place. And they promise you the things. They promise you things like gay marriage. They didn't provide it. I know we have it. Democrats didn't get it for you. The Democrats did not get you a marriage equality for gay people. No, they did not. The court did it. The Dems hinted at it. They begged you for donations for decades so that they could run on it. But after they got elected, they always wimped out.
Why is reverse and neutral our only options?
Those are our only options. Absolutely correct. You can go backward with the conservatives or you can sit still with the Democrats. That's it. They didn't get you marriage equality. They didn't. The court did that by accident. It had nothing to do with the Democrat fucking politicians. It had nothing to do with Obama. It happened while he was in charge, but he had nothing to do with it. They wimped out. It's too complicated. It's not the right time. I have to get reelected and then maybe we'll check back again. The midterms are coming up. And if we push too hard right now, then the right will win the next midterm. And then you wouldn't want that, would you? Hillary was kind of supportive of it, but when asked back in the early 2000s, but she never really pushed hard to make it happen. Obama was tactfully for it, saying it was a good thing and a right that people should have when he was campaigning, but he never pushed for any legislation. The Supreme Court made that decision for him, and he was so damn glad they did, because then he can talk about how great it is and how great he is and how great the Dems are for making it happen, even though they didn't make it happen. He had a supermajority back then, and if you weren't around or you weren't paying attention to politics back then, I'll tell you what happened. He had a supermajority, And they were asked about gay marriage, and he said they had to spend their political capital wisely on health care, for something for everyone for the country. And they could look at gay marriage later. And the Obamacare we got was not a left-leaning idea. It was proposed by Republicans a decade earlier. It gave more money to the billionaire insurance agencies, and they dropped almost immediately the socialized part of it, the public option, which would have been actual government health care. It's not universal. It was not Medicare for all. It got rat-fucked by big donors, just like Kat did yesterday, in yesterday's primary. Medicare for all does not make anyone wealthy, so it does not have big donors. So the Dems won't do it. Gay marriage did not make anyone wealthy, so it did not have big donors, so the Dems didn't do it. Kat Abu Ghazala does not make anyone wealthy, so she does not have big donors, so the Dems aren't interested. Protecting Gaza and Palestine does not make anyone wealthy, so it does not have any big donors, so the Dems won't do it. The fight for trans people's rights does not make anyone wealthy, so it does not have big donors, so the Dems won't do it. Not happy about it, but this is the political reality we live under for now. The do-nothing centrist Democrats intentionally sabotaging the do-good thing left, who are trying to fight the do-bad thing right. That's what it boils down to. I am analyzing the world, and here it is in very simplistic terms.
Gay marriages make party planners super rich.
Barely. That's not wealth, boss. That's a job. That's not billions in wealth. Let's zero in on his face here. Where is he? Where's his face? Joe Scarborough here. I've lost my place. What was I thinking? Okay. Joe Scarborough here is happy to do nothing. His do nothing team won over the do good thing team. That's the headline. Do nothing wins over do good thing. If it sounds simplistic, it's because I'm simplifying. And yeah, I do sound doomer right now, but it's actually not. We can actually be optimistic. Kat Abu Ghazala did a good job. She got lots of people interested. She got lots of people paying attention. And now there are new political people happening. This happened to me when Obama came onto the stage. I wasn't paying too much attention. I watched a little bit of the war footage in 2003 and 2004 and stuff like that. But then when he gave his speech at the DNC, I paid attention. All of a sudden, I started looking at all these things. I was like, oh my gosh, this is this, and this. I started thinking, I started paying attention, I started looking into other things. She has done that for a whole lot of people. And that's great. I hope they stick around. I hope they continue. And I hope she runs again, and I hope she wins in the future. Because even if she tries and fails to get into Congress for the next 10 years, she'll still be 30 when she gets there. Imagine that. She tries and tries and tries and fails and fails and fails until she succeeds 10 years from now, in the year 2036. She's still only going to be 30-something years old. That's great. That is a huge change. That is a big win for us and for the Congress, because the old Dems just run a loyalty program. That's what the Democrat Party is, just a loyalty program. You show up, you say the right things, you do your time, and after 50 years, they will move heaven and earth to make you the president. I don't know why they do it that way, but that's the way they do it. So whoever's been there the longest is the person who has raised the most money. And if you're there, you're raising money because you have to, or else they'll ignore you and you won't get to win anymore. And whoever's been there the longest is the one who gets the most benefits. That is how the DNC works. That's how the Democrats work. I don't like it. I wish they would just move left. I wish they would do left-leaning things. I wish they would pay attention to what the people are saying and thinking and doing to make the world a better place. The do-good team on the left could get some traction. I wish they would be in charge, but they're not right now. But they might be. As the boomers continue to die off, as the people who are in the Democrats continue to die off because they're all 80 years old. Hopefully, maybe. People like Kat can win in the future. People with left-leaning ideas can move in to fill those empty slots. So there is some slight nice stuff, some optimism. She did a good job. She made a lot of people pay attention to her. She's on the news now, and she's not going away. So that's all good. Will it be in time? I hope so. But we got all kinds of other news today suggesting that we don't have a whole lot of time left because shit's going wrong. Shit is all shitted up in the country if you pay attention to the news, and you shouldn't. The whole Iran war is just a terrible idea, and we're about to get a new guy in charge of DHS, and he's a moron. And Donnie doesn't know how to win a war, and Tulsi Gabbard doesn't know what's going on, and she's getting in trouble. So let's talk about that stuff too. So let's look at that stuff. If you're watching, hop in the chat, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling. If you're in Twitch chat, the lovely lady robot will read it out loud to you. And Tallarico won. So, well, let's cap this off. Tallarico won his thing, and he is further to the left, I think, than Jasmine Crockett. It's just when I just hear him talk about policy, he seems to be further to the left, but he is also a Texas Christian, which means he's still he's in the middle somewhere. It's tough to read. Is he going to be a leftist? Maybe not. He might let us down, but at least he talks about policy. That was the only issue I had with. That's the only reason I supported him over Jasmine Crockett, is because he actually talks about policy. He talks about the things that he wants to pass. She just talks about herself and what Trump said about her. Okay, great. I love that Trump hates you, but he hates you because of the color of your skin. He probably hates Tallarico because the ideas and the policies he wants to push. So that's what I want for them. And we're looking at the Senate race in Texas where maybe Tallarico wins and maybe they win in Maine, but Maine is its own clusterfuck. The lady who's been there forever is very unpopular, but she has a guy named Graham Plattner running against her, and he is all over the road, man. He secretly had a Nazi tattoo. He had the skull and crossbones from the SS on his chest for like 20 years and didn't know it was a Nazi tattoo. And then he got it covered up with something else and then apologized for it. And then I think like 15 years ago, he was making edgy fucking remarks on the internet. And now they're posting all those fucking edgy remarks up on the internet. And he's possibly going to lose. He says the good left-wing things now, but so did Fetterman. And Fetterman's a fucking lunatic. Fetterman got brain damage. He had a stroke and his brain stopped working and he became a conservative. I mean, look no further than conservatives have brain damage. Then Fetterman had a stroke, got brain damage. Now he's a right-wing Republican. It proves the theory right there. But Plattner, he's probably going to win he might win. It would be close, but he might win, and he might vote left. He might vote blue most of the time, and that would be nice if we could, if Texas and Maine go blue with the senators, then we have 51. Donnie gets his possibly impeached. That's fun. That's going to be fun to watch. So if you're in Maine, vote for him. If you're in Texas, vote for Tallarico. And then we can possibly, maybe, if we're lucky and we ask Chuck Schumer really, really nicely, we might get Donald Trump impeached. But honestly, Chuck Schumer doesn't want to. He does not want to. No, he doesn't want to do that. Chuck Schumer doesn't like that. He's not going to do that. Chuck Schumer's not going to impeach Donald Trump. Doesn't matter what illegal wars he starts or how many protesters in America get killed or how many babies end up in cages or how many DHS-sponsored murders there are. They're not going to impeach. Chuck Schumer does not want to impeach Donald Trump. No, 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 no. That would lead to people in power being held responsible for the things they do. Chuck Schumer is in power. He doesn't want anybody to hold him responsible for the things he does. So he can't start holding other people in power responsible for the things they do, you see? If I speed every day, I'm not going to vote for somebody who says stop speeding. Speeders go to jail. No, I'm not going to vote for that because I do it every day. You see? That's where Chuck's at. That's where Chuck Schumer's at. He does not want to hold himself responsible, so that means he can't hold Trump responsible. And it may not even happen. Sad, miserable, doomer prediction from Waldo again. We win Maine. We win Texas. We have 51 senators in the Senate. We have the House. We have everything we need to impeach Donald Trump. And Schumer says, whoa, 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 whoa. No, we're not going to be doing that. That's political. Donald Trump, didn't you see his tweet? He said he's going to leave all that stuff behind. He said he's sorry. He said he didn't say he's sorry. He didn't say that. He insulted Chuck Schumer in a tweet. And Chuck Schumer said, he said he's going to change his tune. He's going to change his tune. Okay. He understands the responsibility that he has, and he understands the power and authority that we have. So we're going to let him go on his way. And if he makes a mistake, we're going to hold him accountable. And then he never will. He will do nothing. That's how Chuck Schumer operates, is he just tells you that we're going to get it next time. We'll get him next time, champ. We'll get him next time. If we just had 52, maybe in the next election, we have 52 and we can get rid of him. Maybe in the next, if we had 54, we could do it. If Chuck Schumer had 60 right now, he still wouldn't do it. He would find someone to get sick and call in sick, or someone would have to change their mind, and it would be 59. And he'd be like, well, we just can't. It's only 59 votes. You know, we can't do that. If he had 75, he would make sure that it just never got brought up. They do not want to hold him accountable because he's so good for DNC fundraising emails. He really is. Donald Trump is great for DNC fundraising emails. That's part of the treadmill. They want you forever donating every year, every campaign season, so that they can have more money. They don't want to solve the problem of Trump. They don't want to solve the problem of healthcare. They don't want to solve the problem of trans people. They don't want to solve the problem of war. They don't want to solve the problem of poverty. They don't want to solve the problem of drugs or they don't want to solve the problem of immigration. They just want you to donate so they can talk about it into a camera. They want to be live streamers. Okay. Rounding that out. I ranted a little bit too long for that one. What the hell is going on? Let's look at the news. What's on the news? What the hell's going on?
To me, it's very clear that the purpose of this entire fake hearing, this fake deposition, is the Attorney General trying to weasel herself out of sitting in front of us under oath, under a bipartisan subpoena that we gave her committee. We asked her multiple times, are you going to come and speak with us under oath? She would not say yes. Filibuster would not say yes. And so why do we, and then our Republican colleagues say, is this not enough? Why don't you want to speak to her now? We want her under oath because we do not trust her. Why don't we trust her? Because she's a liar. Look at how that Judiciary Committee.
Young guy willing to say it. The old guys don't do this. And that's, again, this is another young left-leaning person. Frost.
Hearing went. She was spying on members of Congress when they were in the DOJ looking at the documents unredacted. Look at what she's done as far as not putting documents relating to Donald Trump on the website, not releasing them, and only doing it when the public noticed and said something about it. We want her under oath because we don't trust her. We want her under oath because she has shown that she is involved in a cover-up. My Republican colleagues under the last administration would not stand for this, with Merrick Garland being in front of them not being under oath. They wouldn't allow that to happen for a second. So we see this for what it is. This is not a briefing. A briefing is when we sit down and we're getting information from the person giving the briefing. That didn't happen here. She sat down. They started the clock like a hearing. It's a hearing. It's a fake deposition where no one can see what's going on, where there's zero transcription, where it's not on C-SPAN or anything, and where no one is under oath and they are allowed to freely lie to members of Congress.
Is it ongoing now that
So that's what happened today with Pam Bondi. She showed up and just lied to Congress apparently a lot. So that's fun. Who else was lying today? Oh, here we go. This is so many things happened today. This is what I'm talking about. Like so many hearings happened today. This is Tulsi Gabbard talking to John Ossoff.
Under the law, you are responsible for providing national intelligence to the president, correct?
Yes.
And to the heads of executive branch departments and agencies, yes?
Yes.
And to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and senior military commanders?
Across the IC, yes.
And to the Senate and the House and relevant committees, correct?
Yes.
And the law states that the national intelligence you provide to Congress, quote, should be timely, objective, and independent of political considerations, correct?
Yes.
And you noted in your opening statement you're here fulfilling a statutory responsibility and that your testimony, quote, represents the IC's assessment of threats,
That's right.
correct? That opening statement, as submitted to the committee in advance of this hearing, stated that as a result of last summer's airstrikes, quote, Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated, end quote, correct?
That's right.
And is that in fact the assessment of the intelligence community?
Yes.
So the assessment of the intelligence community is that Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated by last summer's airstrikes.
So it got destroyed entirely, obliterated last summer when we bombed Iran.
Yes.
And the opening statement you submitted to the committee last night also stated, quote, there has been no effort since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability, end quote, correct?
That's right.
And that's the assessment of the intelligence community.
Yes.
So they haven't rebuilt it since the last time we bombed them, according to her and according to what her intelligence department put together. They haven't rebuilt it.
The White House stated on March 1st of this year that this war was launched and was, quote, a military campaign to eliminate the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, end quote. That's a statement from the White House. Quote, the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime.
How can they have an imminent threat if it was obliterated 6 months ago and has not been rebuilt?
Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was an imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime?
The intelligence community assessed that Iran maintained the intention to rebuild and to continue to grow their nuclear enrichment capability.
Was it?
Look at her squirm. Look at her squirm. Look at her wiggle there. They had the intent. They felt like it. They had some feelings, okay? They had feelings that they would want and like and really appreciate and enjoy a nuclear weapon. They felt like they needed one, okay? They had the desire. They had the want for one. They needed one. They saw it on Craigslist. They saw it on Etsy.
I was going to build those nukes, and then I got high.
I was going to build those nukes, but then I got high. But then I got high. But then I got high. They wanted one, man. So that's her answer. The senator says, did they rebuild? Did they have an imminent threat? And she's like, they felt like it. They kind of wanted one. They were in a nuclear weapon kind of mood, you know? That's not an imminent threat. Moods aren't nukes. You can't feel like you want a nuke and just have one. Intent is 9/10 of the law. Not quite, Shinzento. Their intent was to have one, and she's dodging the question. See how she wiggled out of it. He said, did they have, and were they going to attack us with some sort of nuclear thing? And she's like, they wanted to. They felt like it. They felt as if they should. The answer is no, of course. But that's because the White House lies all the time.
The assessment of the intelligence community that there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, yes or no?
Senator, the only person who can
He got him
determine
on thought
what
crimes.
is and is not an imminent threat is the president.
Yeah, they got him on thought crimes. Yeah, it was thought crimes. Now listen to this part too. This is important.
Posed by the Iranian regime, yes or no?
Senator, the only person who can determine what is and is not an imminent threat is the president.
False.
and
This
he
is the
made that
worldwide. This is the worldwide
What?
threats hearing where you present to Congress national intelligence, timely, objective, and independent of political considerations. You've stated.
It's her job to talk about what is and isn't a threat. Tulsi, what would you say you do here? If not putting together intelligence and telling us what's a threat and what's an imminent threat. The imminent threats you should probably mention first because they're timely. You don't have to warn us about the threats from that are going to arrive in 2074. Put that one at the back of the list, okay? Imminent threats. That's what you do here. That's her job. And she says only the president can determine what's an imminent threat. It's such horseshit.
This is the worldwide threats hearing where you present to Congress national intelligence, timely, objective, and independent of political considerations. You've stated today that the intelligence community's assessment is that Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated and that, quote, there had been no efforts since then to try to rebuild their enrichment
It's almost like
capability.
they think the president is
Was
a
it
king.
the intelligence community's
Strange.
assessment that nevertheless, despite this obliteration, there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime? Yes or no?
It is not the intelligence community's responsibility to determine what is and is not an imminent threat.
Okay.
Yes, it is. That's literally your job. That is literally your responsibility. That's what you're supposed to do. That's why we pay you. That's why we give you lots and lots of money. That's why the taxpayers give her department shitloads of money. But she doesn't want to do that. She wants to look into a camera and tell you how to feel. That's what I'm saying, man. This crop of MAGA chuds are just shit posters. They're podcasters. They're live streamers, in parentheses, derogatory. They don't know how to do their jobs. They don't even know what their jobs are. Tulsi Gabbard cannot do this job. She was chosen because Donnie saw her on TV. And Fox News has her on TV because she's easy on the eyes and has the cool skunk stripe. It's a thing. She has that one thing that stands out, you know? And that's why she's there. Not because she's good at her job, not because she's some sort of specialist, not because she's some sort of expert. She's there because he saw her on TV. And he's in charge because the people saw him on TV. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's everything. That's the why for why he got elected. They saw him on TV. Why he picked the people he did. He saw them on TV. Why everything's going to shit. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's very, very simple. He thinks that TV is real. It's not. The world is far more complicated than these people think it is. And it's almost like they think the president is a king. Absolutely. They thought that Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe Biden, was the king for 4 years. And he just got everything he wanted and everything he ever asked for. And he just pointed and people died. And then he pointed this way and then the border crept open. It just like that. And then millions of people flooded in. And then Donnie takes over and he points at that same gate. He goes, and the people can't come in anymore. They're very dumb. Most people. So what we have to do is make them less dumb. We have to let people know, hey, it's okay if Congress is smarter than you. They should be. It's okay if the president went to Harvard. It's a good thing. It's okay if they don't sound and talk like you and me. They should be better than us. I want the people who are best to be in charge. Christ almighty, why am I a crazy person for saying that? I want the people who are smartest to be in charge. In the exact opposite vein, let's look at Mark Wayne Mullen. Sorry. No. Okay, we still have one more for Gabbard. Hang on. Let's do Gabbard before we look at the other guy who was up on Capitol Hill today.
You have not provided any of the required reports or briefings to this committee on foreign interference. This is the first threat assessment since 2017 that didn't even mention foreign interference. Last year, when you were in already confirmed, it mentioned it at high level. Are you saying there is no foreign threat to our elections in the midterms this year?
As I stated in the outset of my remarks, this year's annual threat assessment matches the prioritization of threats and
foreign threat interference to our elections this year.
Laid out.
Are there foreign?
Please allow me to answer the question, sir. The intelligence community has been and continues to remain focused on any collection and intelligence products that show a potential foreign threat for those who are seeking
so far there has been none then, because you've made no reports. Excuse me, ma'am. If you want to ask the questions, you should have stayed in Congress. Please answer the questions.
I didn't ask you a question, sir. I'm trying to answer your questions.
So you're saying the failure to provide any reports or the failure to have any mention of a foreign threat assessment, I would draw the conclusion there must be no foreign threat to our elections in 26.
She didn't do her homework. Guys, she didn't do her homework. She has to turn in reports. She didn't, because she doesn't know how. She doesn't know how. She doesn't know how to write them. She doesn't know how to put them together. She doesn't know how to hire anybody who's competent. She's the boss that you had who doesn't know what your job is. She is the boss who doesn't know how to do your job. Because they got hired, because they were a friend of the CEO or something like that. If you've ever had a job and the boss didn't know how to do your job, that's her. That's why she's there. She's too stupid to do this job. It's a complicated job. It's a difficult job. It's a high-stakes job, and she can't do it. Because she doesn't know how, because she's a live streamer. Waldo doesn't know how to do it either, but I don't tell you that I can. I don't know how to be a damn senator. I'm not telling you I can. Maybe I could learn it if somebody taught it to me, but I don't know how. But I don't tell you that I can. I'm not going to tell you that I could do a better job. I might be able to understand some things that they don't understand, but and I can vote. I can tell you what my fucking opinion is. And I can look into a camera and talk to you sometimes. But past that, they don't have any more fucking credentials than I do. And that irritates the shit out of me. I could be there doing that for billions of dollars. Damn it. What the hell? So speaking of people who don't know how to do their job, let's look at this fucking moron. Not that guy. That's Gallego. He's all right. He's talking to Marquanier Mullen. See his name? Yeah, right here. Marquanier. That's how you pronounce it. Marquanier. Mullen.
For my experience in seeing you both on the House and the Senate, do you believe that Joe Biden won Arizona in the 2020 presidential election? The reason I ask is because, again, you're potentially deploying HSI agents to Arizona to check a result, using our taxpayer dollars to follow up on a conspiracy theory.
Sir, I'm not familiar with what the former secretary did here, and nor am I here to debate what happened in 2020. I do know that there's an opportunity to look at 2020 and make sure that anything that went wrong we can fix moving forward, because
nothing went wrong. There's nothing to fix. Everything was fine.
what we wanted to make sure is that in the next election, be it the midterms or in 2028, the American people trust our election system. Trust is vitally important.
Nothing went wrong. You and the right wing and the liars said that things went wrong when they didn't, making people distrust the system. Mark Wanye is a 2020 denier. He thinks that Donald Trump won in 2020. And this is why it's an important question. This is why that's the question I ask everybody. When people come and start dissing me in chat, when a right wing, whenever we get a live one, a right winger in chat, that's the question I ask them. When somebody starts hassling me in the comments, that's the question I ask them, because it sets up your entire brain state. It really does. If you say Donald Trump won in 2020, I already know every single thing that you say after that is a fucking lie. Everything. Because you are on board for that one big lie. If you tell me that there were complications and we have to do the trust, which is what Mark Wanye is doing right now, if you do what he's doing and
keep saying it till others believe it.
Absolutely, keep saying both things. What, saying his name or the or that 2020 was that Donald Trump won in 2020. So I'm using their stuff against him. His name is Mark Wayne, but I'm going to call him Mark Wanye because it sounds woke and it makes him sound black. And I'll just keep saying it over and over again until you believe me that his name is Mark Wanye. So Mark Wanye is lying to you. And if he says it often enough, it becomes a meme. It becomes a thing. It becomes a thing that people will say, and you can drop it in casual conversation. Yeah, well, there were all kinds of anomalies back in 2020. No, there fucking weren't. There weren't. That was made up by liars and grifters and cheaters. Yes. And Mark Wanye is one of those lying grifters, but he is trying to dodge this question here. We can see him dodge the question. So let's listen to him a little bit more.
And I want to always look at past mistakes and past successes, because I've addressed this multiple times, and I know everybody's busy here, and I know you didn't get to hear me earlier. But Senator, I think we can always do better, and I want to do that. Just like you and I, we've worked on immigration issues before, but because we both know we can do it better.
But you're talking about perspective. I'm talking about going back, and the fact that we're using Homeland Security funds, investigators that should be using their time and value more to check onto something that, by the way, had multiple independent audits, even one run by the Senate Republican and Senate State House representatives that passed, accuracy tests, hand counts, 14 court cases that were confirmed that Biden won in my state. And so when I have personal friends that are HSI agents, friends that I know are telling me they are now being diverted from their duties, and what they're doing is they're instead of investigating child sex trafficking, child abusers, drug traffickers, which I don't disagree, we have not been doing the best at, and certainly I think a lot of that was under the Biden administration, did not do that sufficiently. But now instead of it not being done, now we have the opposite, where some of these best trained people are being ordered by somebody within the chain of command of the White House, which I get to quest later, to go investigate this false this false conspiracy theory. Right?
So, yeah, that's what Mark Wanye wants you to believe, and he doesn't want to answer the question. So I think they ask him the question again. So here we go again.
Has continued to say that he won the 2020 election, even though there's been 60 court cases saying the opposite. He has said he wants to federalize the elections. He has said name-check cities, including Detroit. He has said voting machines are inaccurate. He has said in the State of the Union, I was on the Senate floor, paraphrase that if his side doesn't win in November, then the elections were rigged, which is exactly what he said 8 months before the 2020 election. You have your own history. You did not certify the 2020 election. There are people at the Department of Homeland Security, 3 people specifically who are well-known election deniers now running election security functions. Who won the 2020 election?
Ma'am, we know that President Joe Biden was sworn into office.
See how he wiggled it? Joe Biden was sworn into office. Not did he win. No, he didn't say that guy won. He just said he was sworn into office.
Now running election security functions. Who won the 2020 election?
Ma'am, we know that President Joe Biden was sworn into office. He was the president for the last 4 years.
But I do believe won the election?
My job as Department of Homeland Security Secretary will be to make sure that we assure that the elections are fair and people can trust them.
Does the federal government run the elections process, or do states?
It's very clear in the Constitution that the states control state elections, and then there is some federal oversight that's on it, but the federal government can set some standards. So if you're talking about the Save American Act, requiring you, which is within the Constitution, by the way, requiring individuals to be citizens of the United States, I don't think it's too much to ask somebody to prove they're a citizen of the United States.
That's not what we're talking about.
They already do, but we'll talk about the SAVE Act next.
I'm talking about administering the elections. If you are Secretary of Homeland Security, do you feel you have the authority to put uniformed officers at polling locations in 2026?
Ma'am, we said this in your office. The only reason why my officers would be there if there was a specific threat for them to be there, not for intimidation. And
so
I said
even though we didn't need it
that.
during World War II, we didn't need it during Vietnam or the War on Terror, we never had to put uniformed military there. Now, you feel that there's going to be a reason that there's going to be an armed threat to the United States that you need to potentially be there?
I can't sit there and guarantee hypothetically of what threat would be and not. I'm not putting military. That's not within my purview.
Uniformed officers.
But if there is a threat, a specific threat, say it's in a Jewish community, and there is a threat that's specific to that polling area, then we will work with local law enforcement. There'll be a reason for us to be there, and it'll be known why we're there.
I think the reason you're here and not Kristi Noem is because Americans trust their local law enforcement now way more than they trust ICE. So I would just say if we ever get to the point where you are being asked to put armed ICE officers at polling locations, we have lost the plot as a country. We have fundamentally lost it. And until I hear someone tell me that this man, President Trump, will actually allow us to have a free and fair election, there is zero trust here, and I cannot trust that he won't try and steal it.
That is Slotkin. She is one of the underdogs for becoming the next for becoming president. She doesn't want to be. She does want to be president, and the Democrats want her to be president. And she was former CIA. She has a good chance, but I think she's just going to be another one of those centrist Dems, sort of like Gavin Newsom, the centrists that I was telling you about, who will do everything to help Israel, and she definitely will do that. That's why when you see her name years from now, when she runs for president, remember that she is definitely going to be more helping Israel bomb Muslims, for sure. So back to Mark Wanier. He won't say it. He won't say that Donald Trump lost. He won't say that Biden won because he thinks that he's being slick there. He thinks he's being slick. He's the best, he's the most intelligent person to ever come out of Oklahoma. And that's what you're looking at right there, is the best Oklahoma has to send. What he did there was that he was trying to be slick. He was trying to be sneaky. He was trying to be smooth and not piss off Donald Trump because he needs Donald Trump to like him, which means you can't say Donald Trump lost in 2020, even though it's true. If I ever get to speak to Donald Trump, I will tell him, you lost in 2020. You lost. Because that will hurt him more than anything else that I could ever say. And he knows it's true, but he refuses to accept it. Mark Wanier, does not want to accept it either. And so he makes up silly little lies. There were inconsistencies, and there was a lot of fuckery, and there was something wrong with the polls, and there was a water burst, and there was a gas leak, and there was bomb things, and there was bamboo DNA, and there were markers that bled through. They'll come up with another thing and as you shoot each one of those things down, they will come up with another thing and another thing, and when you get to the 10th thing, they'll go back to the first thing and say that there was vote dumps. if he's in charge of DHS, ICE will continue to do what they've been doing over the past 6 months, hurting innocent people, hurting regular people, hurting citizens, hurting the people who are here legally because of bigotry, because of their hatred for those people. They don't like them. They do not want anybody in this country who is not a straight white Christian. Everyone else they want out of the country. He's from Oklahoma. I know Oklahomans. That's what they want. They want everyone who is not straight white Christian evangelical out of the fucking country. And if you commit a crime that is one of the ones that they don't like, you get deported. They would invent Australian penal colony again. They would, if you let the evangelicals have their way. They will invent a new penal colony, maybe in Cuba or some shit. I don't know. They'll reinvent that shit, and he will use ICE the exact same way Kristi Noem was, except maybe even worse. Kristi Noem was benefiting herself. She's a diva. Okay, Kristi Noem spent as much money creating a fucking DHS commercial where she just rides a horse and talks into a camera as they spent on Sinners, the movie, that great movie, that really good movie that you should watch if you haven't seen it. Let me Google that real quick. DHS Kristi Noem commercial, same amount as Sinners. You know, the great movie that you should watch. If you haven't seen it, you should. So yeah, there we go. Kristi Noem's $220 million DHS ad campaign cost $130 million more than the production budget of the movie Sinners. So, which was only $90 million. So you can make an amazing movie for less than what we spent on Kristi Noem's DHS commercial. It didn't cost as much to make. It cost about half that much to make, but then they had to get it all over the TV, and they had to pay for ads and stuff like that, and they had to pay for placement and shit. And what benefit do we get from it? It was awful. It was propaganda. It was bad. It was bad for you. It was bad for the country. It wasted your tax dollars. She was a diva. Everything she wanted to do was for benefiting her. When she wanted stuff, she wanted that plane. She wanted to bring her boyfriend to places. She wanted to go to fancy stuff. She wanted to go to fancy dinner. She wanted to go to a big award show. She wanted to go over here. She wanted to jet set over here. She wanted to make a fantastic video in front of the El Salvador fucking criminals. You remember the ones where she was standing in front of the cage that we kept all the people in? She does all that stuff because she's vain. She's vainglorious. She wants all of this for her because she's important and she's valuable and she's beautiful and gorgeous and amazing. Mark Wanye is in it for, he's in it for because he's a true believer. He believes that brown people are bad. He believes that Muslims are terrorists. He believes that there are millions of illegal criminals roaming around the streets, murdering people. He believes that the Somalians were eating the dogs and the cats. Like, he believes it. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. He believes those things. He is worse than her because he's not vain. He's not going to do these things just because he is trying to steal money. He's going to do it out of the hatred in his heart. And that's far more dangerous. And guess what? 5 or 6 of the Democrats are going to vote for him so that he can become confirmed. And he's going to get it. Oh, yeah, he's going to get it. And it's going to get worse. And things are going to go badly. And DHS is going to go even harder, probably. I suspect that the ICE agents are actually going to get worse under him, not better. Because he is a true believer. He's going to be manipulated by the talking points that that the right-wing media he's a part of invents. He's a violent piece of shit. Marquanier, sorry, I keep goofing his name up. Marquanier Mullen is a violent piece of shit. He threatened to fight a guy in Congress. He talked about dueling. If you want to go watch all the all the drama between him and Rand Paul. There's a Bobo behind me. I got him. Bobo break. Pow. Hi, Bo. Say hello to the people. Hi, people. My name is Bobo. I poop on the floor. He's getting ready for bed. It's almost bedtime for him. Yeah. Oh, don't lick my face. Okay. I want to grab the toy. And shake the toy. And make the dog jump. So yeah, there was some drama between Rand Paul and Marquanier. Rand Paul, not Ron Paul. Rand Paul got into a fist fight with his neighbor because he's a piece of shit and he's probably a bad neighbor. Anyway, he got beat up. Then Marquanier made a mean tweet and said, if my neighbor was Rand Paul, I understand why you beat him up. And I can appreciate that because I would make the same edgy remark. But I'm not running for head of DHS and telling people that I'm not a violent piece of shit. It's a funny joke. And so he's a violent kind of guy. And then he talked about dueling canes and stupid shit because he thinks that violence is the answer. And that is what I don't like about Marquanier, is that he thinks violence is the answer. And that is the problem. When he's in charge of DHS, when he's in charge of ICE, violence will be their first response to every problem. That will be the first response to things that aren't problems, is violence. They're going to throw violence at things that aren't even problems yet under his guidance. And so that's why I think it's going to get worse. So whatever, all that stuff you saw in Minnesota over the past couple of months, it might get worse if they allow him to go forward, and probably some of the Dems will, because they have to be good to their colleagues. They can't just shut everything down until this Iran war is over. That's what they should do. And he brought up the SAVE Act. So let's talk about that too. Let's talk about the SAVE Act. SAVE Act. This is Democracy Docket with this is by Matt Cohen, and he's talking about the Senate, because that's where the SAVE Act is stalled at the moment. We are not going to stop. MAGA anti-voting activists ramp up pressure over Save America Act. That's John Thune. He's a huge piece of shit, but he's an old school Republican piece of shit, not one of the new school Marquanier Mullen types. He's an old school Mitt Romney type Republican. MAGA Republicans and far-right anti-voting figures are doubling down on their all-out efforts to pressure the U.S. Senate to force through the Save America Act. This guy doesn't want to pass it because it is actually very bad. It is undemocratic. It is anti-constitutional, and it will remove 10% of voters. That's it. That's what he does. That's the message. When somebody gives you shit online that says, hey, why don't you want the Save America Act? Don't you have to show ID to buy beer? The Save America Act will disenfranchise 10% of the American voters. 10% of the voters won't be voters anymore. They don't get to vote no more. Not because they're illegal, not because they're foreigners. No, horseshit. Because they don't have a passport, or they're not allowed to vote by mail anymore, or their name has changed because they got married and they're a woman and they changed their name. So they're not going to get to vote no more. And that, when you do all the math, how many people don't have the passport, how many people are in a state where it forces you to have your birth certificate, and is your name the same as what it was on the birth certificate? That's 10% of the people who voted last time. they don't get to vote no more. Nothing to do with illegal people. Illegal people can't vote. They already can't do that. There aren't any illegal aliens voting. There aren't any. So when a Republican MAGA type tells you that there are millions of illegal votes, they're lying to you so that these 10% get knocked off the books. In a letter to Senate Majority Leader John Thune, 24 House Republicans, led by Randy Fine, the piece of shit from Florida, said that they would not vote for any Senate bills that come to the House floor unless the Senate passes the anti-voting bill. Republicans made a promise to the American people to secure our elections. The elections were already secure. Fine said on social media, President Trump is counting on us. It's time for the Senate to deliver. President Donald Trump himself said that he would refuse to sign any bills until the measure passes, though any bill passed by Congress automatically becomes law if not signed by the president within 10 days. So they can just wait 10 days for his temper tantrum, and he can piss and moan if he wants to. Though the Save America Act still does not have 60 votes needed to overcome the Democrats' filibuster, anti-voting activists for weeks pushed Thune to bring the measure to the floor for debate. Their hope is that a prolonged debate could buy them time to pressure enough GOP senators to flip on their votes. Now Senate Democrats have to stand up and explain why they are against it. Why are they against it? If they were good at talking to you, they would tell you it disenfranchises 10% of the people in America right now. See how easy that is? It's very short. It's just one sentence. But they can't do that because they don't know how to talk to you anymore. Because everything they say has to go through focus testing, focus groups, PACs to determine what the right wording is. They have to go through the consultants, and they have to get the right message, and then they have to deliver it in a TikTok so that the kids will understand. They don't know how to fucking talk anymore. The Democrats suck for many reasons. And one of those reasons is that they lost the ability to communicate with human beings. They're all nerds. I get it. I dig it. I understand. I'm a nerd too. Learn to talk. Learn to talk to people. Practice a little bit. Have a conversation with humans every now and then. You'll pick it up. It's like riding a bike. It's difficult at first, but once you get it, you don't even have to think about it anymore. You just go. You just do. It's like walking. You don't think left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. You just do it. You're just like, okay, I'm going to walk over there. Then you go. And then you think about all the other things that are in your head at any given moment. They should learn how to talk to human beings again. Democrats, please listen. Democrats, listen. I'm looking right down the camera, looking right in the barrel. Democrats, people in charge of the Democrat Party, learn to speak to humans. Please. We need you to speak to humans because humans vote. And they're getting talked to by the right-wing media all the time. And you're not talking to them. Tell the people the SAVE Act removes 10% of American voters. Plain, simple, true, correct statement. It's a true statement. It's a short statement. It's easy to remember. Say it. That's all you got to do. But they won't. Because they'll piss and moan and you bring up the word affordability again. Every undecided senator needs to feel the full political weight of blocking a common sense bill that 9 out of 10 Americans support, Mitchell wrote. 9 out of 10 Americans do not support removing 1 out of 10 Americans from voting rights. They don't think that. You lied to them about what this bill is. Keeping that pressure sustained through coalition outreach, rapid response, and direct engagement with Senate offices takes resources and takes them right now. It's not just Mitchell. Who is this? They spent the evening with members of Congress. He said in a video, "We are not going to stop until the SAVE Act is on President Trump's desk to be signed into law. Still, after roughly 7 hours of debate Tuesday, Thune adjourned rather than recessed. The Senate, a step that the Democrat docket explained, suggests a talking filibuster to pass the bill, as its supporters are hoping it's not going to happen. Wait, what? Okay, he adjourned rather than recessed the Senate, a step that, as Democracy Docket explained, suggests a talking filibuster to pass the bill, as its supporters are hoping for. It's not going to happen. What do you mean it's not going to happen? It sounds like it's going to happen. I don't want it to happen. The SAVE Act started as a political stunt. Now it's a real threat. In 24, Marjorie Taylor Greene, good old Maytag, threatened to force a vote to remove Mike Johnson from the speakership. Johnson's hold on the gavel was in genuine danger. As he considered his options, he saw the only way out, a press conference at Mar-a-Lago with Donald Trump to announce the new legislative effort built on lies about elections and designed to attack voting rights, because that's what she wanted. The gambit worked. A hastily organized press conference. Johnson repeated false claims about non-citizen voting, and Trump expressed support for the embattled speaker. Greene stood down. The crisis had been averted. So the crazies on the right get to demand things of the Speaker of the House, and then they get them done. Can the Dems learn to do that? Can AOC do that every now and then? Can she stand up and say, hey, I'd like this thing to happen, and then have it happen? I'd love for them to take her message there and do it. I'd love for them to do the same thing. Why did the right get all this power? Every individual in Republican politics has just amazing superpower to bring about pain and misery for the people in charge of the Republican Party and the people who vote for Republicans and the entire country. Marjorie Taylor Greene can hold all of us hostage at gunpoint. But Chuck Schumer can't do shit. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't comprehend what they're doing differently. The core of the SAVE Act is the requirement that every voter must prove their citizenship when they register, and that registration must take place in person. That's insane. This meant that online and mail-in voter registration would be prohibited. That's insane. The most controversial provision required that the name of a person's ID match the documents used to prove citizenship, meaning that married women and anyone else who had to change their name would face serious obstacles using birth certificates to establish their citizenship. It was estimated that tens of millions of women would face potential disenfranchisement. This is the long version of what I told you. 10% of the people who voted last time will be removed from voting. 10% of Americans who voted last time will be unable to vote. Nice, simple. Tell people that. Send that out there. Make that the message. Dems aren't good at messaging anymore. They don't know how to talk. They don't know how to put out messages. And hopefully it doesn't pass. Let's keep reading about the SAVE Act for another minute, and then we'll talk about Iran. Other provisions impose civil and criminal liability on election workers who register voters without the proper documentation, and required states to purge non-citizens from voting rolls. Non-citizens are not on the voting rolls. They're just not there. 2024, the bill quietly passed the House on a near party line vote. By then, Johnson's political standing had improved within the party, yet everyone assumed the SAVE Act was dead. Everyone but Donald Trump. And then he pushed it again. And then he added some anti-trans bigotry into it, if I remember correctly. In recent days, he added additional requirements to what he calls the watered-down version passed by the House, including a ban on mail-in voting, except for military personnel and those who are ill or traveling, as well as restrictions targeting the transgender community. Like, he just threw some trans misogyny and trans bigotry in there for fun, just to spice it up a little bit. These additions have nothing to do with voter eligibility and are simply the price Trump is extracting from Senate Republicans. So it's bad. And it will remove and it will lower the amount of people that are able to vote. Not because they're illegal, not because they're done anything wrong, but because the Republicans don't like them. They don't like you. They don't want you to vote. They don't respect you. They don't want to hear from you. They don't want to give you anything. You are a cog in the machine that makes them wealthy. And you need to shut the fuck up. Okay? That's how the Republicans see you. A cog in the machine that makes them wealthy. You need to work until you die. You need to spend all of your extra money on fat food and soda and cigarettes and booze and make lots and lots and lots and lots of babies so that they can all do the same thing and they can have more customers. That is what they want for you. They do not want you to have freedom. They do not want you to have thoughts. They do not want you to have opinions. They do not want you to have complex understanding of the universe. They don't need you to have any of that shit. You got to work, spend money. That's it. Doesn't matter. They don't really care about the work is, as long as it turns a profit for them and their big businesses. So I've done that rant 1,000 times before. Let's check in on the war. Let's do that. Let's check in on the war. How's that war going, guys? Is it going well? Is it going good? Are we winning yet? Wait, I swear there's no volume on this one. This is a oil field that's burning, I think. Yeah, this is Israeli Air Force has just decimated the largest natural gas processing facility in Iran in a devastating blow against the regime approved by the U.S. So we are helping. We're giving them the thumbs up. Way to go, Israel. Destroy that other country. Sure is great. Here they are again. The Saudi Aramco facilities are on fire and under attack. So Saudi Arabia being bombed by Iran. The flames are rising and explosions are heard as a result of the Iranian missile attack. So Iran is fighting back. Big smoke. Big smoke. Because Iran is bombing people. This is one of our allies. This is Saudi Arabia. This is their oil facilities, which we buy oil from them. We do. And if they're being bombed, we ain't going to get that oil. And that's going to drive the price right up. Iran threatens Gulf energy facilities after Israeli attacks one of its largest gas fields. Revolutionary Guard says that they will strike infrastructure in Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar after South Par's fields hit. So they're going to start bombing everybody else in that region, as we knew they would. Anyone who isn't a moron knew they would do this. Donnie did not know they would do this because he is a moron, you see. Iran has threatened to attack energy infrastructure across Gulf regions in retaliation for Israeli strikes on its largest gas field, the first targeted attacks on fossil fuel production since the war began. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have threatened counterstrikes on several energy facilities across Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar in the coming hours. The strikes on Iran's South Pars gas field, which it shares with Qatar, were widely reported in Israeli media to have been carried out by Israel with the consent of the U.S. The attack against the heart of Iran's gas infrastructure marks a key escalation in U.S. and Israeli military operations. The two countries have until now largely sparred Iran's oil and gas sector and helped to keep a lid on the global oil price surge. So oil prices are going to go way up. Oh, they are already 110. They're going to be 210. They're climbing, baby. They are going to climb. Everything is going to get more expensive. Every bit of food. $10 gasoline coming. $10 strawberries. Everything is going up. Because Donnie is too stupid to run this war. He didn't know what the Strait of Hormuz was. He never looked at it. He just assumed that the American military could protect it because we have the best military. It's true, we do have the best military. We can't protect the strait. We can't. It's impossible. That's insane. We can't take care of it. We can't escort every ship. It would take every single fucking boat we have, and then they would still get bombed. They would still get mined, and they would still get blown up. It can't be done. But he doesn't know that because he doesn't listen. That's the thing that I dislike about him the most, probably. He doesn't listen. He talks all the time, and he knows everything, but he thinks he knows everything. He doesn't, actually. I don't think I know everything. I know lots of stuff, and I will tell you my opinion on things, but he is too stupid to make this war happen properly. He is. He's too dumb to understand what the strait was. He's too dumb to comprehend how they are going to bomb only the boats they want to bomb. Donnie talked about how if they shut down the strait, then they wouldn't get their oil out either. No, Donnie, they won't blow up their own boats. They're going to know where the mines are, and they're going to go around them. And then they won't detonate them on their own boats. Mines are smarter than they used to be. Sea mines aren't just big, dumb, floating things that blow up when you touch them. You can remote them. You can aim them. You can press the button to release them from the bottom when a boat comes near you. And they won't do that when it's their boats going to China. So they're going to sell all their oil. And anybody who isn't on their side won't get to. He didn't put that together because he's a moron. He's very dumb. Very dumb. Let's see what this guy had to say. I wargamed Iran for Obama. This is the worst case scenario. So this is a guy whose job it is to put together what's going to happen in the things. As a former U.S. official, Ian Goldberg spent years gaming a conflict with Iran. Here are 5 lessons he learned that Trump hasn't. When the regime feels existentially threatened, Iran will escalate. They will escalate, and they already have. They're bombing all the other people around there. They're going to bomb everybody they can. In most war games, conflicts begin at a lower level. An Israeli strike, a proxy attack, a miscalculation. At that stage, Iran usually calibrated its response. And we saw that 6 months ago. When Israel did a thing, they shot the missiles over. They told them that was coming. The Israeli Iron Dome shot all those missiles down. Nobody died. They have been reasonable, as fucking crazy as this sounds, and as stupid as this anti-American this might be. Iran has been reasonable. They are more reasonable than Israel and Donald Trump. They're doing exactly what you would expect them to do. It retaliated but tried to avoid drawing the United States fully into the conflict because they're reasonable, because it knew that it had a full-on war with the U.S. represented a massive threat, a pattern held in real life during the Iran exchanges in 24 and 25. Okay, I should read ahead before I rant. But yes, they were reasonable. But once the United States entered directly, and once the regime believed its survival was at stake, those restraints would disappear. Number 2, it is easy to close the Strait of Hormuz. It's hard to reopen. I talked about that a minute ago. Donnie's too stupid for this. And I don't get to read the rest of it because I don't have a paid subscription. Damn it. Fucking internet and their stuff. Fine. I won't read the rest of it. But I'm sure it would have agreed with me. We can all agree that it would have agreed with me. Anyway, the point is, Donnie doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know how to run a war. He is too stupid to run this operation. So it's going to go very, 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 very badly. There are only 2 options from here on. At this point, we only have 2 options. Option number 1, he lies a lot and backs the fuck down. Donnie. He lies, says that this mission accomplished, or bringing everybody back, or bringing everything down. The nuclear stuff is obliterated again, and there's no problem. And they learned their lesson, and we're totally going to reopen talks, and we have complete and total victory, and we didn't need anybody's help, even though we asked for it, and they said they wouldn't give it. We didn't need it. We didn't want it. We never asked for it, even though we did. And he backs down. Possible. Option number 2, we send troops in and it becomes a forever war. Those are the only 2 options at this point. It really is. If he just keeps bombing them over and over and over again, we would have to have people in place to take over Carg Island, to take over the place that we bombed, so that they don't just rebuild it. If you want, they won't open the strait, is what happens. If we keep bombing them, they will keep the strait closed, and they will mine the strait, and they will bomb and missile strike all the boats that go through the strait, which means we would have to send troops in to make them stop doing that. And that is the forever war. Those are our two options right now. Johnny backs up. He gives up. He lies his ass off. He's going to lie his ass off no matter what, and says that it's over and it's fine and everything can go back to normal and the strait can reopen and he'll claim victory, even though it's a fucking defeat. It's a literal fucking defeat. Or we do forever war. That's it. That's all there is. And the forever war might not be as grand as Iraq or Vietnam, but it will be forever war. It will be a continuous bombing, and every week I'll come on here and be like, well, we bombed another place in Iran. Hey, here's this school that got bombed. Hey, this hospital got bombed. And then the next week, and the next week, and the next week, and the next week, and the next week, months. It'll be summer, and I'll be here telling you that we bombed another fucking place in Iran. And the 5,000 or 10,000 troops that we have over there are standing around trying to protect a thing, and that one thing will be protected, but the 90 other things that are out around it will be blown up and burning. Because there's no way to win a war with them that isn't all out. And I'm telling you 100% all out. Millions dead is the only way we can beat them. And I don't want that. But Donnie might. He might bring that up. He might make that happen. Let me see if there's anything else super important to talk about tonight. I'm going to be, programming note, I'm going to be gone this Saturday. I'm going to go to a thing this weekend, so I'm going to be gone on Saturday. That sucks, and I won't be here for you. I'm sorry. Saturday is my best day. It's when I get the best numbers and the most people coming by, but I am obligated to go do human things with other humans. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you want to. Sometimes you don't. But I do kind of want to go do this. This will be fine. And so I'll be out of town. I'll be on a plane tomorrow, and it'll be gone all weekend. But I should be back by Wednesday. I think I'm flying back on Monday. So I'll be Tuesday. I'll catch up on the news, and then I'll be here Wednesday, a week from tonight. So there's that. Let me see. What else? Oh, Trump's birthright citizenship Supreme Court case poised to get history lesson. So the Supreme Court is going to look into birthright citizenship. It's literally written in the Constitution, but the conservatives have never read the Constitution. They don't like what it says when they do read it, so they try not to read it. So the Supreme Court is going to have to look at it. And because most of the Supreme Court is Catholic and filled with imagination, they're going to maybe strike down birthright citizenship. Now, this is fucking stupid. It's written right there in the Constitution. It makes all the sense in the world, but they don't want anchor babies. So they're going to change the rules. They're going to change the Constitution. They're going to change the laws going forward, because conservatives hate you and hate anything in the Constitution that they don't like. You know, they don't respect the Constitution. They've never read it. They don't respect the Bible. They've never read it. They don't respect, what was that other thing that they've never read? They don't know what the law is. They don't respect the law. They've never read it. They don't respect immigration law. They don't know what the immigration laws are. They just know who they hate. And right now, they hate immigrants and they hate transists. So they're going to make it so that birthright citizenship isn't a thing for those immigrants anymore. It's going to create stateless babies in America. And that's going to be some bullshit. That's going to be some terrible shit. Stateless babies lead to babies that aren't on the books for any country. That's bad for them. when they grow up, I'm going to shock some people maybe. Babies aren't babies forever. Some of them get older. When they do, they're going to try and get a job, but they won't be able to because they won't have a social security number because they don't have a state, because they are without, and by state, I mean country. They're born without a country. They're a citizen of nothing, a citizen of nowhere. It happens to Gazans right now. It happens to people in war-torn parts of the world, and it fucks things up because it happens to political asylum seekers and shit like that too. They are running from some sort of civil war in the fucking third world country, and they don't want to leave, but they're being persecuted or genocided and murdered, and so they run away, and so they're born in somebody else's country. Are they a member of that country? They should be, but that country doesn't want them there, and so they end up being stateless. And if we have stateless babies in America, it means we're moving backwards toward away from civilization, away from decency, basic human decency, because conservatives are scared of immigrants. And that's horseshit. You shouldn't be so scared. But as you can hear, my voice is starting to crack again. My voice is starting to go out again because I am still sick. I apologize to everybody for still being sick. I wish I wasn't. Thanks for being here, KVP. Thanks for being here, Shinsuno. Thanks for coming in, Valor. Thanks for being here, any of it. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Thank you very much. But I'm starting to lose my voice. I did an hour and a half tonight as opposed to an hour last stream. I will be out on Saturday, but I will be back on Wednesday. When this actually starts to pop off, we'll look into it. But this is a thing that hasn't yet happened, so we'll look into that when it actually does pop off and when it does actually happen. Until then, please keep watching. Please give the stream a thumbs up. Go into the comment section and insult me. By all means, insult me, my hair, my face, or my shirt, or something. I don't know. Talk shit about Bulbasaur. I don't know. As long as you're spreading some sort of hatred, that's what the YouTube algorithm likes. It likes hatred. It spreads hatred. It rewards hatred. So if you go to YouTube and you spread some sort of hatred, whoever's channel you're on will benefit from it. So there's that. I'll be back in a week. I think. What happens in a week? I don't think there's anything really big on the horizon other than war with Iran. So we'll look at that a week from now. Until then, I'll be back in a week unless the Gestapo kicks me in my door and drags me off to a gulag, or ICE catches me at the airport. That could happen too, I suppose. I suppose the gulag, the Gestapo could catch me at the airport and then send me to the gulag. So that's a possibility tomorrow. I'll let you know. I'll tweet it or something. I'll put it on my blue ski if I get sent to the gulag. All right. I love you. Goodbye.